coming at you again on a Thursday. Wicka, wicka, weep. And it's Thursday today, so it's actually not a lie.
It is Thursday.
Ooh.
Time for part 2.
Time for part 2. So, any news, any update, because this is probably going to be a little shorter than part 1. So is there like anything you want to talk about Christmas-wise, holiday-wise?
Honestly, I'm very depressed about the holiday season right now.
Why?
Because I can't decorate my house. Like, we are going to start the demo like any day now. I know, I'm so sad. Like, we did order Christmas lights. We ordered new Christmas lights. The ones that we had were like a, kind of like an LED white, like, but it had like a blue hue. So it wasn't like Christmassy. So we got new Christmas lights. So at least we're going to decorate the outside of our house, but we can't decorate the inside, and I'm sad.
Okay, well, for all of our listeners, I just want you guys to know that me and a stalker of our podcast, Amanda from Missouri, spelled D-U-H.
Yeah.
We had a talk with Alexa and said that she absolutely could decorate her house.
But I can't.
Because she doesn't know exactly the demo stages.
Well, I kind of do.
Yeah, well.
I know.
Yeah, no,
so it makes
sucks.
me sad. It does. It makes me sad. And I also need a new Christmas tree because apparently I have a light bulb out and I could not for the life of me find the bulb. Mm-hmm. And so the whole bottom half of my tree, all the lights are out.
That sounds like me. Like if something's not working, I'm like, well, just toss the whole thing. I wouldn't even have
time to
spent
get a new one.
Yeah, I wouldn't even have looked for the bulb. It's funny. I talked about the struggle of putting together my 3-part Christmas tree that's pre-lit, and it had 17 plugins that needed arranged.
All
and
in between, yeah.
I could not figure it out, and then I was like, Nick, I need your help. And he did it by himself in 5 minutes.
Ugh, so annoying.
I was like, I swear to God, my hands were literally bloody from getting so dry from the pine.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's infuriating.
Oh my God. I bet.
Okay, so are you a person, when do you take down your Christmas stuff normally?
Oh, bitch. Not until after New Year's.
Yeah.
January 3rd, 4th, 5th, sometimes January 17th, 27th, February 2nd.
Sometimes Valentine's Day.
It's a Valentine's Day tree. You just take down the Christmas ornaments and put some extra red ones in there and you're good to go.
Same. I feel like if it's cold out, I want my Christmas stuff up.
I do too. It makes it so homey.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm so sad.
For sure. So
anyway, what are you sipping on? Did you refill your drink? Because our drinking word is Mom.
Okay, well, I refilled what I like to call I was trying to think
my trash drink.
I called it the poor girl's drink in the last video, and it's just because I'm like, okay, how can I throw together a cocktail? Oh, vodka and LaCroix with some sugar.
Right.
But I feel like it needs a name. But
I feel like it trash.
Redneck cocktail. Needs, so anyways, this is vodka, lemon juice, a splash.
Redneck sangria.
Yes. The redneck sangria. That is it. Oh my God. You're going to trigger this cough.
Oh, that's
my
great.
God. Okay, so the redneck sangria in my Halloween cup. It is
so fitting.
Oh my God.
You should have a cup with a Confederate flag on it or something.
All lives matter shit.
Right. Oh, that's great.
Oh my God. Anyway,
I'm drinking no, we don't even care.
We don't care. Just
we don't
on.
care. I'm drinking my spiked eggnog. So.
But Eggnog made with almond milk. Nog.
Yeah, it's an almond nog.
Yeah, because good. Almond nog, that thing that everyone knows about.
Duh.
Anyways, if you're tuning into this episode, this is part 2 of a 2-part series on Ed Kemper. So please go listen to the other one. I'll explain my cough and all that other shit, so I don't have to do it now.
Yeah, and the drinking word today is mom or mother. So we are already drunk, so prepare to get drunk with us.
So it does include grandma, we decided.
Well, yeah, and grandmother. I mean, it's all fitting.
Mommy. Okay, anyways. All right, disclaimer. Our videos and podcasts are for entertainment purposes. All information discussed was found on the internet. Keep in mind, we talk about all things sinister that may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Viewer on YouTube.
And viewer on YouTube. Alexa sometimes does a little flash.
And Cadence sometimes spreads her legs, so pretends that she's in like a gyno chair.
Oh my god. So, that was
pretty entertaining.
That was so improv that I can't even believe it happened. Okay, so where we left off, I'm getting to my notes here with Ed Kemper was he started picking up hitchhikers without killing them. So, starting in 1972, he picked up 2 female Fresno State students. They were hitchhiking. It is really important to note that they were immediately reported by their families as missing after some time. That's something that really wasn't common back then. It was like, oh, they're just college girls. They're at a party. They're hungover at some guy's house, whatever.
Or they're hitchhiking and we haven't heard from them because they're waiting till they get to the next place.
Right. But these cases were actually looked into. But anyways, these girls weren't found until months later. So one of the females' heads, also trigger warning, this is where the story really gets violent and gruesome and just really, really, really graphic. So one of the female's heads was discovered in the woods. The other was never discovered. Her remains were never found. He claimed to have stabbed and strangled them one at a time. So he then took them back to his apartment where, again, he had a roommate. Roommate was clearly not home. Roommate who we don't know. In any article I found, never gave a name or even a gender, assuming it's a male, but zero information.
Weird.
But he took the females back to the apartment. This is actually where he dismembered them. So back up a bit. He strangled them, took them back to the apartment. This is where he beheaded them and also cut off their hands. He would photograph and rape and dismember the corpses. So this is where necrophilia comes into play. And this is basically exactly what he did with all of his victims, changing it up a little here and there. One thing that was very popular with Mr. Kemper is once he decapitated the head, he would have the head perform oral sex on him.
That is so gross.
That's probably the most graphic of all the things. And if possible, I don't want to give any spoilers just yet, but that aspect specifically gets much worse.
Oh my God.
But this happens with all of his victims. So what's crazy is on his way, I believe, back to the woods to take the bodies, or at least one of the dismembered bodies back to the woods, he was actually pulled over by police officers. Who, again, he was very friendly with. I don't know if he knew this officer specifically, but he had a tail light that was out. So the police pulled him over. He was cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah.
And so there was no need for them to search his car. But they say
No,
that...
I mean, he didn't really show any emotion hardly ever anyway. And so talking to him, he was always so monotone.
No, yeah, it goes back into that sociopathic personality
Right.
where it's just... you do not have normal human emotions or interactions. No. You're on a mission.
Nope. Right.
So you're a Sagittarius and you have a task at hand that needs completed.
Always.
So a few months, so again, those were college students. Now we're going to he's going to push the age back a bit. A few months later, he picked up a 15-year-old girl who had missed her bus on the way to dance class. I think that's the worst.
Yeah.
I am not a hitchhiker. I really didn't take the bus to school except for maybe a couple of times in my life. But I remember like walking places in town.
Yeah.
And this could have easily
ride
happened.
My bike. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's essentially the same thing. Hey, after school, we're going to get a ride with so-and-so. We're going to go to Sonic or we're going to go to the football game or whatever. So this girl was also reported missing ASAP. So didn't make it to dance class. Family reported her. So again, he went to a secluded area and this time he pulled a gun. And it's later said in interviews, he kept that gun on him and would oftentimes think, well, what if I pulled it? It's that mental mind game that he played with himself. Like, what would this feel like? Well, I'm not going to do it, but what if I did? And it's here, so I have the opportunity to maybe do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this time, he did pull a gun. However, sort of, I forget exactly why, but he exited his car with the girl in the car and accidentally locked himself out of the car. Gun in the car.
Gun in the car.
So he's like, shit, what do I do?
I fucked up.
But we'll go back to his juvenile days where he was made assistant to the psychiatrist and, made up psychiatrist scales and tests. So he knew exactly what to do to convince this girl
to open the door.
So that's exactly what she did. He persuaded her to unlock the car. He then strangled, raped her, and murdered this 15-year-old girl. So before returning, yes, it's awful. And before returning home, he went to a local bar, had a couple drinks. Nothing was out of the ordinary, according to the people at the bar. Nothing seemed unusual. And then when he returned back to his car, he opened the trunk where her body was to admire his work.
Yep.
One of his quotes is something along the lines of like a fisherman admiring his catch.
Yeah, and I feel like he did that all the time.
Yeah.
He wanted to remember what had happened.
Yep.
With his victim.
It's just disgusting. I mean,
it is disgusting, and especially coming from a person like him, no emotion. So it's what are you admiring? There's no emotion with literally anything in your life. It's so strange.
Yep. It's just awful. So, at this point, I believe he is living back with his mom. Excuse me, it's either this year or the next, but...
Drink.
Oh, shh. Toot, toot. Lubrication. Okay. So, I don't know, honestly, maybe he's not living back with his mom at the time, but he does decapitate the 15-year-old, buries the head in the mom's backyard. So, living there or not,
Drink.
My God. It's only going to get worse, people. And then he throws the remainder, he dismembers the corpse as usual. He throws these pieces into the ocean and I think it was a week later, they washed ashore.
Yeah.
So these cold cases didn't stay cold cases for very long. I mean, it was almost immediate. All of his victims, from what we know, were identified. So that is nice, at least for the family's peace of mind.
Well, because he didn't mind to tell.
No.
The investigators or the detectives or psychiatrists who they were.
Yeah, exactly.
And he would know, like, he knew the women, like, he knew who they were. Like, he knew their names. He knew exactly the place that he picked them up or where he found them or where he saw them. And he knew all the details to tell, which is sad. But, I mean, at least it gave, the victims' families, like you said, some peace of mind.
Yeah.
That at least, they knew what had happened. And, yeah.
Yep. So now fast forward to 1973. Not much long. He is officially living with mom again. I don't know why that's always just like such a shock to me.
Oh shit.
So he picks up an 18-year-old female outside of a college. I think it's Cabrillo College. There's a bunch of local colleges in the area.
Right.
So he picks up an 18-year-old. He does the usual, brings her into the car, does the deal. This time, though, before dismembering anything, he stores the body in his closet at his mom's house overnight. So when... Oh, yeah, you're right. So when she left for work the next day is when he raped the corpse. And he shot her as well. This is like his new thing now, is shooting them, not just strangling them.
Right.
He removed the bullet before he fully dismembered her. And I guess that was a way of like identification. That was a huge identification tool back in the day, I guess, to see like what kind of gun was used. And he did own a gun. So I guess that was a way.
And I mean, anymore now, too, they can determine who killed someone, based off of the bullet.
Right. So this was a little different of a situation. He kept the head for several days for his sexual purposes. So, again, that I feel like is the most graphic and violent aspect of Ed Kemper. It's disgusting.
Yeah,
like,
it was so
absolutely gross. And then he also buried the head in the backyard of his mom's house. But this time, he placed the head face up towards his mom's window. Still underground, but like towards his mom's window. So everything except her head and right hand were discovered first, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's quoted they were pieced together like a jigsaw puzzle.
And they discovered the rest of the remains in the ocean as well? Or would they discover
I think this was
house?
A wooded area. I think that ocean was like a one-off. Everything else was like a wooded area.
In the wooded area.
Somewhere secluded. Okay. Sometimes it's like quoted as like a ditch or a valley, something along those lines. So they did know from this, a pathologist determined that he used a power saw to dismember the body. So I don't know if that was like found in the mom's house or if he used something in the mom's house. Damn, you picked a good word.
I know.
Holy shit. Okay, so 1 month later, one single frickin' month later, he got in a fight with his mom. That triggered him. He's like, I'm going in looking for victims. So this kind of plays into the spontaneous nature of the Sagittarius and the fire sign both.
Right.
So while he is insane, he definitely has some mental issues. This is still like thought out. He's like, I'm doing this to kill someone. I got to get this rage out. So.
And I feel like sorry to interrupt,
No,
but
you're
I
fine.
feel like, most of the time whenever he would partake in killing, some of his victims, it was because his mom and him had a fight. Or
Yes.
because it's like she constantly terrorized him literally up until, I mean, really up until she died,
Yeah.
right? Which he'll talk about. But, she literally terrorized the shit out of him all the time. And that is why he acted out with these women.
Yep.
And that's why, I mean, I don't want to put the blame on her, but it's like if she would have just left him the fuck alone,
Yeah.
I really wonder what would have happened with Egg Kemper.
Honestly, I don't know if I have it in my notes later, but he was asked about like his MO. Oh, you probably said mom. I'm
I
guessing.
know. Yeah, I did.
He was later asked about his MO and did he kill women who are like his mom? And he said no. They weren't like her.
No.
They were all of the things that she envied, despised. They were pretty. They were nice. They were all the things that like he wanted but knew that she wasn't.
Right.
Which is just so deep, so twisted.
It is.
So, at this point, some say that like Ed was almost wanting to get caught. He, at one point, like he like kills someone right in his car, like out in front of the mom's house.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it might have been this previous girl. I'm not exactly. Oh no, that's the next one. So.
Or he would kill. Yeah, like he wasn't careful anymore. Like he didn't try to hide anything.
Shallow graves. I mean, these are people who are found weeks or a couple months later.
Yeah.
They're not super thought out, planned murders. So a lot of people were suspecting a campus killer. So they were warning women. Let me get to my notes before I get too ahead of myself. So they were warning the local campuses in Santa Cruz to not hitchhike. Shoot. Did I lose myself? People said, oh, yeah. So they were advised to obviously not hitchhike. They're like, just quit, cut that shit out. That's stupid. Don't do that. But also, if you belong to the campus, you would have a sticker on your car. So don't get into cars that aren't labeled with that sticker.
With a sticker. Yep.
Hello. Okay, he was involved with the campus. Mom's involved with the campus. He had the freaking sticker on his car.
Right.
What an idiotic thing to advise to the public.
Like, people are dangerous if they don't go to the school.
So, here's the thing. Even if he didn't have the sticker, you announce that shit, and what's he gonna do?
Right.
Find the sticker.
Find the sticker. Duh.
He also has a fake badge and handcuffs. So, I mean...
and a gun.
So, I mean, that... Again, not to victim blame. That is so stupid. That is, like, the worst recommendation.
It is.
So, he then goes on. Of course, that doesn't stop women from being... And again, he's a gentle person. He's a nice guy. He convinces two students to get into his car. One of them was hesitant. She told the other girl, it's fine. Get in. He shoots them.
Mm-hmm.
He went straight to his mom's house, and I'm pretty sure, again, he beheads them in the car, on the street, in front of the house. Mm-hmm. So, again, he is not trying to hide this, and he says that later. He's like, I wasn't trying to hide who I was. Absolutely insane. So then he goes inside, he rapes the corpses, and he does the same things to the last. He dismembers the body, cuts off the head and hands. He removes the bullets, again, from both of these bodies. And then these remains were found in a canyon, like, I think a week later. Yeah, week later. So
miles away. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's crazy because it's all relative. It's all within a span. Right. They're tracking this guy. They're doing everything they can, but no one suspects that it's him. And I think that's because of his relationship with the law enforcement.
Right. Relationship with the law enforcement. He was a college student. You know, he didn't have a record because that was expunged.
Again,
and
stupid.
You know, he was smart.
Yeah.
He was smart. Although he was careless, like in the end, he was so smart.
Yeah.
So smart.
Crazy. And then he was asked later why removing the head specifically. And this is a quote. The head trip fantasy. The head trip. Let me read properly for
Try
a second.
again.
Okay. The head trip fantasies were a bit like a trophy. You know, the head is where everything is at. The brain, eyes, mouth. That's the person. I remember being told as a kid, you cut off the head and the body dies. The body is nothing after the head is cut off. Well, that's not quite true. There's a lot left in the girl's body without the head. That is sick shit.
Yeah, and you know, whenever he was like talking about this, again, no emotion.
No.
Like he didn't care.
That is so, and if you watch the interviews, that's so matter of fact to him. Everything is matter of fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
He befriends a lot of the officers and interviewers, and he talks to them just like, not even
you
like
and I are talking.
Well, and like so if you and I were talking about like serious things, like there's still a bit of embarrassment, a bit of hesitation, like oh, what if she judges me? And with him, there's none of that. There's here's what I did, you know, this word, graphic, graphic.
I cut off her head. I put her mouth around my penis. And
just like that.
Like, seriously, I mean, that is how he would talk. That is how he would talk.
There
was no like beating around the bush. That is how the interviews went with him.
It's crazy, and you can watch all this shit online. I watched one.
Yeah,
and it's creepy.
There's
something about him that's creeped me out more than a lot of serial killers that I've watched.
And I truly, what I think it is, I truly think what creeps me out the most is the complete disengagement between human life.
Yeah.
And I know it's because of his mother and because of his childhood and upbringing. But the complete disengagement between human life and him is just not there. And it is so creepy. And I mean, a sociopath, you know, they have zero, I mean, they don't feel like emotions like normal people. If they hurt people, you know, whatever. But it goes to like a next level.
Yeah.
Like, and he experienced this from a young child. I mean, he started with animals and zero. It's just odd.
It's really crazy.
It's so weird.
Yep. At this time in the 60s, 70s, this is like peak time for murders and serial killers and sort of the original start of like the true crime hype and the fascination with it. So there were other, especially in California for whatever reason.
Oh my God, especially in California.
Yeah, we should look into that.
Got
like
Gary,
why?
Yeah.
Ted Bundy.
Gary Ridgway, you have Ted Bundy, you have
Golden State.
Kemper, Joseph James D'Angelo. I mean, there are so many.
Yeah.
So many. The Zodiac, I mean, that was more 80s, but still, like...
It's crazy. So...
Richard Ramirez.
Was it Marilyn Manson also in the 70s? Or was that
Marilyn Manson?
That's
not Charles Manson? I mean, Marilyn Manson, I wouldn't put it past him, but I don't think he was murdering people at like 12, 15. I don't know. Could have been.
Charles Manson is what I thought.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Anyways, so because all of these other murders were occurring, Santa Cruz specifically was actually given the name murder capital of the world by the press.
Wow. Oh my God.
So, and this is also about the time, like towards the end of his killing, that he got the name the Co-Ed Killer and the Co-Ed Butcher. So they finally like put a name to it. But so then we move on to his final acts, which these are all terrible, especially blameless victims. But this, in my opinion, is just
he went out with a bang.
Takes the cake. Takes the fucking cake. So his mom, who was 52 at the time, came home from a party late at night. It said that like she woke up Ed from whatever he was doing, probably nothing. He went into her room and she was laying in bed reading a book. They exchanged like some sarcastic words, and I should have probably quoted it directly, but it was something along the lines of, he said like, well, did you have a good night? And she's like, oh, so you want to talk about this for the next hour? Like, it was something like, just,
she was such a bitch.
It was just something so bitchy.
Right.
Really nothing, but he just left. And of course that like struck a chord in her.
Triggered
because
her.
Once again, he's like, I'm just trying to have a conversation with you, woman.
Yep.
Also, we said mom. So, he's like, okay, fine. I'll wait till you fall asleep. So, waits till she falls asleep, and then he bludgeoned her to death with a claw hammer, and then slit her throat with a penknife. He then, just like all of his other victims, decapitated her, cut her hands off, and also fellatioed the head.
Yep. He did.
So,
to his own mother.
Yes. And it said that he screamed at the head for an hour. He used it as a dartboard. I don't know exactly what he was throwing at it, but just throwing shit at it.
Yep.
And screaming at it. And ultimately smashed it in. So, took it a step further. We're not done. He cut out her tongue and throat. So, by throat, I mean like her larynx. So that's just like the tube aspect of your throat. He was like, I'm going to throw these in the garbage disposal. Turns on the garbage disposal. And those blades were like, nope, we can't handle the job. They couldn't cut through the vocal cords. Did I say mom? Or are you just drinking? Okay. I was like, wait, did I just say that? Okay, so garbage disposal could not cut through, could not penetrate what he had put in there. Started flooding the sink. And so his quote is, later, to authorities, that seemed appropriate. As much as she'd bitched and screamed and yelled at me over so many years.
I mean, I hate to laugh, but like, shit.
Honestly, that's
he
fucking
went out
hilarious.
With a bang. It is.
That, for all things, like, the garbage disposal literally could not penetrate her strong vocal cords.
Because of all the bitching and screaming she's been doing. Oh my God.
My God. So, he then hid this slightly dismembered body in the closet and decided to go to the bar. And I didn't write down exactly, but I have a feeling this is the same bar. It had a name, and I can't remember it, where all the police would frequent. Just some dive bar. And I'm pretty sure each time it says he goes to the bar, it's that bar.
Okay.
I could be wrong. But can you imagine you've done this to someone and then you just go sit amongst cops?
Yeah.
I can't even drive down the highway going 10 miles an hour under the speed limit past a cop without feeling guilty.
Right. You're like, oh shit, what did I do? Yeah. What did I do?
I'm like, there's no cocaine in the trunk, I swear.
I didn't do anything.
And
wait, do I have a warrant? What did I do?
Who framed me?
No, I didn't do anything.
Yeah. And yet this guy has ripped out his mother's throat.
And killed many, many women.
Many. And he's like, you know what? I think I'm going to go talk to old Officer Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Have a couple
Gonna
beers.
have a beer with Bob.
Yeah. Anyways, super, super gruesome. So
let me ask you this. Wasn't it said, I mean, and this is what I remember from some of his interviews, that he murdered all these women due to, you know, the rage of the relationship with his mother, and we'll drink to that here in a minute, but the rage of the relationship with his mother, and he essentially was killing these women to practice and to see the exact way that he wanted to ultimately kill his mom.
basically, yeah. He
Like, he was practicing on all these women, so he would have it right, and he would not mess up, and he would do the exact correct way, or not that there's a correct way to kill anybody, but in his mind, the correct way to kill his mom, because he hated her that much that he killed all these other women.
Yes. So he said in an interview that he knew he was going to kill her a week before it happened. So I don't think it was that originally, like from a young age. I don't think he said, hey, from a young age, I knew I was going to do this eventually. But I do have the exact quote. He said, my victims represented not what my mother was, but what she liked, what she coveted, what was important to her, and I was destroying it. So I think his motive was like to destroy all the things his mom liked. And then he started having that dark fantasy that he had as a kid.
Right.
The curiosity to kill started being directly towards his mom. And he did say 1 week. 1 week before he killed her, he knew he was going to do it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I'm sure all of this ultimately ended up being practice and everything else.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, here's what, again, this just gets weirder, and I wish I knew, like, the context behind this, but especially being 52. So, when he got back from the bar, he called his mom's best friend, who was 59. So, relatively same age. He invited her over for a dinner and a movie. Okay.
And how old is he at this time?
Also, we need a drink.
Yeah. How old is he at this time? So she was 52. So he would have been like 30?
Yeah. Something along those lines.
What year is this?
That we're still in 1973. So do the math.
So yeah, he was 25.
Hold on, I'm going to do the math so that we've got this right. He was born in 48, and then this was 73. 25.
That's what I said.
25. That's insane.
Yep.
Crazy.
So 25-year-old inviting a 59-year-old over to watch a movie. All right.
Yeah. Well, and two, you know these women talked about him. And you know the mom was like, yeah, he's fucking killing girls and shit. And
yeah, he's fucking crazy.
Yeah. I hate him. He's so fat. All this stuff.
Right.
So, she agrees to come over. And this has to be late at night, and I'll say why later, but this... it doesn't say the exact time, but this has to be late. So he strangles the friend, and he decides, I'm going to come up with a story that her and my mom went on a vacation together. That's why they're missing. And he puts the friend's body in a closet and kind of cleans up the scene. Make sure there's no blood
or whatever.
You know.
Ew, can you imagine the smell? Oh.
No. Can you imagine the smell of the entire house? Like,
I know.
Even just temporarily.
So many bodies.
In and out. In the backyard. Gross.
I'm sure you could smell it from like a mile away.
Yep. Absolutely gross. And so then, this is why I said this had to have happened late, because he left a note at the house for police, and the note says the time. It says approximately 5:15 a.m. So I'm thinking, okay, I don't know how long it takes to dismember a body or to kill someone.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But I'm guessing the friend lived within an hour and he invited her over for dinner and a movie. So even if it was at the latest 10 p.m.
Right.
Like, that is late. To be like, come over for dinner and a movie.
Yeah.
Like, what?
No kidding. No kidding. Especially like back in this time. I feel like people stay up later now.
Like, what the heck? Why was she like, okay, I'll come over? Unless she came over early and it just took him this long. Like, maybe they had dinner. Right. And maybe they did watch a movie. But surely not if the mom wasn't there. Like, this is just weird all around. But anyways, his note to the police said approximately 5:15 a.m. Saturday. No need for her to suffer anymore at the hands of this horrible, murderous butcher. It was quick, asleep the way I wanted it, not sloppy and incomplete, gents. Just a lack of time. I got things to do with 3 exclamation marks.
One for this thing, one for that thing, and one for that thing.
Like, what? That seems so not like him, but...
Yeah, that really doesn't seem like him at all.
That's just like a very sloppy message.
Maybe he did. You know, that one psychiatrist said he had like a multiple personality disorder. Maybe he did whenever he was murdering these people.
I feel like this was the ultimate murder for him, so maybe he was a little frazzled.
Probably.
So, anyways, he then fled to Colorado. It was about 1,000 miles from where he was, so he's constantly on the road as much as possible taking caffeine pills. So, not the best candidate for caffeine pills in the middle of the night after murdering people.
No.
He's in his car. He's got 3 guns and 100 rounds of ammunition. And he starts getting a little paranoid. He believes at this point he is officially the target of a mass murder. While he is, he was not.
He is.
He is, but he's also not a subject at this point.
Right.
No one is suspecting him. So he's beginning to get a little paranoid. So once in Colorado, he decides he's going to turn on the news, see what's happening back home.
Okay.
Nothing is being said on the news. So we're going to refer back to his narcissistic tendencies. And this bugs the hell out of him. And he's like, what the heck? I want all the fame. So his panic kind of turns into anger. And he decides he's going to call the police. and tell them what he did. So that's exactly what he does. He calls, I believe it was the Santa Cruz Police Department. And says, I'm Ed Kemper. This is what I did. They don't believe him. They think it's a prank call because they know Ed Kemper.
Think it's him.
No, they were like, yeah, okay, buddy, call back later. We don't know anything about what you're talking about.
Right.
What? Okay. So then he's like, you know what? I'm going to call back. So later in the day, he calls back. He asks for an officer that he knows personally.
Right.
He asks for this officer by name and says, hey, it's me, Ed Kemper. Not only did I kill my mom and her friend.
Yep. Mom.
I killed all these women. And he knew details about the case.
Yep.
And devastating details that weren't released to the public. And so they were like, well, shit.
Maybe this isn't a prank caller.
They're like, okay, I guess we'll believe you this
Where's Ashton? Where's Ashton?
So he confessed
right now.
Right. He confessed to the 8 murders that he had performed. And then later when he was asked why he confessed, here's a quote. The original purpose was gone. It wasn't serving any physical or real or emotional purpose. It was just a pure waste of time. Emotionally, I couldn't handle it much longer. Toward the end there, I started feeling the folly of the whole damn thing. And at the point of near exhaustion, near collapse, I just said to hell with it and called it off.
Yep. Well, because his mom, he killed his mom. And again, he was killing because of his mom.
It was all aimed at her.
It was all aimed at her.
And the fact, yes. What puzzled people was he kind of had an MO, kind of, like young, pretty girls, college campuses, but not really.
It was anybody.
It was anybody. It was any hitchhiker, female, easy target. So going forward into the trial and all of that, he was indicted on 8 counts of first-degree murder in May of 1973. Granted, he did have 10 total kills. That included his grandparents, but that was expunged back in the day. He gave a very explicit and detailed confession, and he did this in hopes that they would see him as insane. So he did try to plead guilty on reasons of he pled guilty for reasons of insanity.
Right.
And what's crazy is, and what a lot of people don't realize, is that pleading insanity doesn't mean a lesser sentence.
No.
A lot of times it means a lot more torture while you're here on Earth, because you're constantly, like, you're in a mental institution.
But he thought that if he was sentenced to another psychiatric or mental institution, that he would be able to sway the psychiatrist again.
That he was better. Yep. So in between May and October of his next trial, he did attempt suicide twice, obviously failed. But in October of 73, he was found legally sane. He was given a truth serum, which I would love to know what that entails.
Like LSD or what?
I don't know. It didn't say. But at that point, while on the truth serum, he admitted to being a cannibal. Specifically, he would make his victims into casseroles. He later recanted that statement. And I feel like that's a matter of being on the drugs.
Right.
So,
okay, what drug is known as truth serum? It's a barbiturate.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird detail.
Sodium pentothal. All right, continue.
So, later court stated, going against the whole insanity plea, that Kemper clearly knew his acts were wrong, and he showed signs of malice as an afterthought. So, he knew going into these events he was going to kill someone.
Right.
It wasn't, he tried to say, like, I blacked out, there was a different side of me. But it was just clear in all of his other testimonies that wasn't the case. He took the stand in November saying that he took the victims, quote, for myself, like possessions, and tried to convince the jury that he was insane. And that kind of goes into what you were saying earlier. He said he had, like, other beings inside himself.
Right.
But they were like, no, you knew what you were doing was wrong. What you were doing was wrong. You knew, like, going into, like, you got in a fight with your mom and you told yourself, I'm going to go out and kill someone now because I'm mad at my mom. Like, that's a totally different thing.
Right.
So he was found guilty and sane 5 hours later within this trial. He requested the death penalty by means of torture. So they asked him, like, what do you think you deserve? And he said death by torture.
Yeah.
Which takes us all the way back to his childhood fantasies of wanting to be tortured. I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah. And, you know, people had thought initially whenever he said that, death by torture, that he actually felt some remorse, you know, for his victims. But that wasn't it. It was his narcissism coming through,
or
wanting
honestly,
to, like you said, relive those fantasies that he had since he was a child.
I see that purely as like a sexual fantasy of his. Like that's what he got off on. He said death by torture because it satisfied his curiosity, it satisfied his sexual needs. It's just terrible.
Right.
But instead he received 7 years to life for each count of murder that he had committed. So he, at the time, was held in the same prison as Herbert Mullen, which I had to do a little research on. I'm not super familiar with him.
The name sounds familiar, but remind me.
He's another killer, which we'll kind of get into. But he was also in the same prison as Charles Manson. So it's kind of funny we mentioned him earlier and I got that wrong. So he didn't particularly like Mullen. Like he had kind of self-diagnosed Herbert Mullen because Herbert was killing in the same area at the same time, and his MO was for no reason. He killed for no reason.
Wow. Yeah.
He admitted to killing just to kill, and Kemper saw that as like a waste. Like you have to have a reason to kill someone.
Yeah, like how dare you?
So he spent his time in prison, like physically and mentally manipulating this other serial killer. Here's a quote. Mullen had a habit of singing and bothering people when somebody tried to watch TV, so I threw water on him to shut him up. Then, when he was a good boy, I give him peanuts. Herbie liked peanuts. That was effective because pretty soon he asked permission to sing. That's called behavior modification therapy. So he was using them as like his little experiments and
his little rats, like his little test rats.
Yep, and his narcissism was definitely being portrayed in
crazy
in the prison. So he was up for parole many times, denied multiple times.
Yeah.
He'll be up again for parole in 2024. This man is still alive.
Yep.
He's still in prison.
He is.
He was an inspiration for movies like Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, so many movies. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yep, he has been featured in many books and movies. I know we mentioned Cameron Britton, the actor. He's in Mindhunter, but only for like a limited time. He's mentioned.
Yeah,
and it's
like
more
one season.
Season 1, episode 2 specifically, I think is what I watched, where they interview the investigator interviews him while he's in prison. So after he's gone through everything.
Yep. Yeah, multiple times. I mean, it's super interesting because they use the interview tapes from real interviews to reenact this show, which is insane.
So despite even to this day is considered a model prisoner.
Oh yeah.
I personally think that Ed Kemper is at least top 3 of our contribution to how the mind of a serial killer works. He has been used for so much research, so many interviews, a lot of it, in my opinion, not good, like what we displayed as a kid. So along with the influence of movies, he's also been he's been hired to narrate audiobooks for things like Star Wars. Star Wars was the biggest.
Yeah, that was the biggest. Or it started out as children's books.
Yes. So
which is
things
crazy.
Like that, I just can't. Again,
well, because he's so damn smart.
But it goes back to.
I know.
I understand using these people as test subjects, learning from them, rehabilitating them. I totally understand that. But using them as celebrities to narrate.
Oh, I know.
Narrate books and movies and no. I know. I even understand the movie like making them a movie or a documentary to educate people, but like, what is the point of him narrating Star Wars? What is the point? No, there's no point. And to tell
I
me,
know.
to say that he is the only person that could do that, he was the right fit, no.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it makes you wonder. It's like the people that were on the Star Wars crew, like, are they a little sadistic? Like,
Yeah. Well,
what
it's
is going
all
on?
publicity, because that clearly,
Oh,
that's
well,
a
for
huge
sure.
publicity and money stunt. So
For sure.
that's huge. But
Follow the money, honey.
yeah. And Cameron Britton, who we've mentioned several times, he played Ed Kemper in Mindhunter. He also played Richard Jewell in Manhunt on Netflix, which Manhunt talks about the Unabomber. And Richard Jewell was wrongly accused of being the Unabomber.
Yeah.
Anyways, big fan of Cameron Britton, basically. Brilliant actor. Please check him out. Please watch this stuff. It's so good. So, long story short, still in prison today. And
What prison? He's still in Santa Cruz, or where's he at?
Yes, I believe so. Let me see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's still in Santa Cruz, California. He's definitely in California.
California Medical Facility.
Is that Santa Cruz?
I don't know. It just says California Medical Facility. Anyway.
But he's still considered to this day a model prisoner. However, people who aren't fooled, people who know Ed Kemper, say not only has he not changed, he will not change. He is a professional sociopath. This is what he does. Yeah. He convinces you that he's an asset, that you need him, that he's like a rehabilitated person, just like he was in his childhood, and he's simply not that. He's a mass murderer. Right. So his story is fascinating. There are so many documentaries or movies based on him or directly about him. Sure. YouTube is filled with his live interviews. I highly suggest watching him. But that is the 2-part series of Edmund Kemper.
Edmund Kemper the third.
The third. Big Ed.
Gosh.
Co-ed killer.
Crazy.
Yeah. Insane.
It really is.
And it freaks me out that these people are still alive. Like, these people are amongst us.
Oh, for sure. I mean, kind of, but not really. But yeah.
Yeah. Please don't hitchhike. The moral of the story is don't hitchhike ever.
Yeah, don't hitchhike ever. Like, get an Uber.
Yeah.
Call a taxi. Walk. Ride a bike.
If someone is catcalling and hassling you, just run.
Yeah, just run and scream. Like, throw a fit. Yes. Do that.
There was actually, so while doing all this research, I went to the dog park today, and it's just a public dog park. And there was this guy walking and it's a huge dog park, like a whole city block. And there's a guy walking the fence, like hassling the people in the dog park. He said something to me, and I had my headphones in, so I just act like I didn't hear it. But he said something about females in this dog park, and then after that, I was like, "Oh shit, this is gonna get scary."
Here we go.
Then the guy, like a few feet down from me, he told that guy, he was like, "Hey man, I like your hat. How much if I could just buy it right off your head?" And the guy literally was like, "How about you just fuck off, man?" I was like, "Oh shit." And then the guy was like, "No, but really, I like that sweatshirt you're wearing, dude." And then he kept walking, and he was hassling people like all along the dog park. But it's just things like that I'm like, you know what? You don't have to be polite to people. You really don't.
No,
you don't have to be polite. Just like that guy who told him to F off,
to fuck off.
Like
I would have too.
You can do that. You can do that, and it's honestly fine because this guy had no good intentions. He was hassling all of us. So,
he deserved it.
Yeah. I mean...
Deserved the bird.
Just trust your instincts And don't hitchhike.
Please don't. Moral of the story, do not hitchhike.
Moral of the story. So,
yes,
we are at that time. Let's do our thing. I'm going to get to my notes for our patrons. But first, we want to thank our sponsor, Color Up CBD. They are a
awesome product.
Yes, they're amazing. They have a whole line of skincare, pet products that are CBD based.
Yes.
We personally use them. They're amazing.
Every single day. Every day. I love them.
You can use lowercase code Sinister 20. I'm blank for
20. 20.
Yes. 20. 20% off your purchase. Please use that code. Please order you some CBD products. I mean, the worst it's going to do is make you feel all nice and relaxed. So just do it.
Nice and relaxed.
And then we have our patrons to thank. Yep. Patrons who support our podcast are Justin, Annette, Adrian, Nicholas, Valerie, Haley, Angie, and Cheryl. Thank you guys so much. You guys get exclusive content, discounts on our merchandise.
Yes.
So much more.
And a special gift.
And a special gift coming out.
For the VIPers. Yep.
Anything
also,
else?
Talking about special gift, check out our merch.
Yes.
We have some new merch on the website. So, somethingsinisterpodcast.com. Check it out.
Oh, yeah. Designed by us. You guys will love it. It's so great. We love it. So
we love it.
We will see you next time. Happy holidays.
Yeah. Stay sinister.
Bye.